Hello and welcome to today's class of the UPSC Prelims 2024 Quick Revision Series. This is class number 18 and today again we'll be discussing some of the important topics that have been in the news with regards to environment. And this is going to be the last class for environment. From the next class onwards, we'll be beginning with geography topics. I hope that all of you have been attending all these classes and also getting the downloads for the PDF of these lectures. In case you still have not got the PDF, you want to download the PDF, all that you need to do is become a part of the Telegram channel. The link I am giving in the description of the video. I upload all the PDFs of the lectures that we do here. So without any further wait, let's begin. And also I really hope that you have already subscribed to this YouTube channel. Let's start with the first topic, which is number 181. Number 181 is a wildlife sanctuary that was in the news, the Wayanad Wildlife Sanctuary. Why was it in the news? Because the vulture population seems to be increasing in this wildlife sanctuary. That is why it was covered by the Hindu newspaper. As I told you earlier as well, whenever there are some wildlife sanctuaries, national park or these kind of stuff in the news, the UPSC does tend to ask questions regarding that. It may not be necessarily about the topic that is in the news, but other details around that. So what do you need to remember about the Wayanad Wildlife Sanctuary? First, where is it? In Kerala, in the southern Western Ghats. It is a part of Nilgiri Biosphere Reserve. So it is inside of the Nilgiri Biosphere Reserve, which in itself is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. It borders Nagarhole and Bandipur. There are multiple tribes that live here, just like most other such places. There are tribes such as the Panyas, the Adiyans, the Kurumas, all of these live here. This site does not just have exotic and multiple varieties of animals, it also has many varieties of flora, including the deciduous and the semi-evergreen patches, teak wood, rosewood, eucalyptus, etc. Apart from that, the animals that are mainly found in this wildlife sanctuary include elephants, panthers, tigers, jungle cats, monkeys, bisons, etc. Also do remember this fact, it is known for having the largest population of tigers within Kerala. That is the wildlife sanctuary in Wayanad. The next topic in the news was the Oran Sacred Groves. Now what are sacred groves? Sacred groves basically is an area in the forest that is considered as spiritual, as having religious significance by the tribal community. So as you know, the tribal community worships many symbols of nature, forest, trees being one of them. Many of the tribals hold an area of their forest as very sacred and they don't want any interference there. They don't want any cutting down of the trees or any interference by the government authorities. That is called a sacred grove. Oran sacred groves are these sacred groves found in an area in Rajasthan. So a patch of forest considered as very religious, pious by some tribes in Rajasthan, that is called the Oran Sacred Groves. Why is it in the news? Because the villagers in this area have started to protest. There have been news that the government may declare these as deemed forest. Now, deemed forest basically would mean that this area will not have any interference from people living nearby. So the villagers think that if their sacred groves are considered as deemed forest by the government, their own rights of livelihood, their own rights of residing there, of having their animals use this area for grazing purposes will be gone. And that is why the villagers have been protesting against it. Although the experts say that even if they become deemed forest, villagers will still have their rights, but they are still protesting. As I said, these are traditional sacred groves found in Rajasthan. They are community forests preserved by community efforts. These are forests which have been considered as very spiritual, very pious and very religious for many generations, one after the other. They are often local deities associated with these sacred groves. They are very rich in biodiversity. They also often include a water body that acts as a source of water for the local community. As I said, they have a lot of religious significance as well. Most of these sacred groves have some local deities that are dedicated to them. They play a crucial role in ensuring that dense vegetation cover remains. These Oran sacred groves are also famous for the Great Indian Bustard. The Great Indian Bustard, as you know, is a state bird of Rajasthan It's a part of Wildlife Protection Act of 1972 and is considered as India's most critically endangered bird species. The Government of India, along with the Government of Rajasthan, have been running multiple initiatives to safeguard the population of the Great Indian Bustard, including Project Godavan. Now, if you would have read in the news a few months back, there were news stories that a lot of these Great Indian Bustards, so these are birds that don't fly very high, they can take a flight but not very high. So many of them were actually entangling themselves in electricity wires, and they were dying because when they used to try and fly, they used to get stuck in those electricity wires. So there was a court order that the wires should be removed and the wires should be up to a certain height only to safeguard the Great Indian Bustards. Many of them were even crossing over border and entering Pakistan as well, because they are mainly found in Rajasthan. Their sacred groups are known by different names in different parts of the country. The concept is the same. The piece of land that is forested, that is considered as religious and significantly spiritual by the tribal population. They are known by different names in different states, in Kerala, Karnataka, Maharashtra, Odisha and other parts of the country. Next news story. 2 sites of significance have been now regarded as geo-heritage sites. What are these 2 sites? First, the Pandavula Gutta, and second, the Ramgarh crater. These 2 sites have been given the tag of geo-heritage site. Now, what exactly is this? What are these 2 sites? Let's try and understand. So, the Pandavula Gutta has been considered as a geo-heritage site in the state of Telangana. It is the only site that has been given this official tag. This site goes back to dates beyond the Himalayan hills and their formation. It is considered to be a site that has a lot of historical significance. There are many cave paintings, etc. that have been found here. I'll just show you a photo as well. One other site that has also been given this tag is the Ramgarh crater, that is in Rajasthan, again considered millions and millions of years old. It's considered to have been created by the impact of a meteor that might have hit the Earth's surface. So let's first talk about the Pandavula Gutta. So it's a site that is seen in Telangana. It is very, very rich in terms of history because there are a lot of rock shelters of the Mesolithic period to the medieval times that are found here. They even have some Paleolithic cave paintings that tell us about the prehistoric life. In these paintings, you can see antelope, bison, tiger, leopards, etc. There are also important symbols such as the swastika symbol, circle, square, weapons, etc. It is extremely important for historians. There are a lot of archaeological activities that go on in this area. Many rock climbing experts, rock climbing enthusiasts also visit this area very, very often. This is a photo of one of the cave paintings that you find in this area. As you can see, these are colorful cave paintings made up of color of different parts of history, including people, animals, symbols, etc. Second one that has again been given this post or given this tag is the Ramgarh crater. It's in Rajasthan. It's said to be about 165 million years old. It is a crater that has been created by the impact of a meteor about 3 kilometers in diameter. The Ramgarh Conservation Reserve is considered a part of the Wildlife Protection Act of 1972. A lot of other preservation efforts have been going on to preserve this site particularly. This is the photo. So this is the famous Ramgarh crater. It's huge, very, very, very big. And as you can see, it's considered that a very big meteor might have hit the Earth's surface, and that is how this entire crater would have gotten created. What is the concept of geoheritage sites? So basically, the Geological Survey of India, the GSI, declares certain sites as geoheritage sites. This is the agency founded by the British in 1851. What do? They create and update India's geoscientific information and also look into the mineral resources that we might have. What sites are given this tag? The sites that have educational, scientific, cultural or aesthetic value. The sites may have some unique rock formations, fossil landscapes that are important for research, and it is important for India's culture as well. Those are the sites that have been given this tag of geo heritage sites. So it's again not an international tag, it's an Indian tag given by an Indian organization, and it is something that happens within the country. Another important news was that 2023 marked completion of 50 years of the Project Tiger. Project Tiger was launched in 1973 and it was a government's attempt to ensure that we stop the dwindling tiger population and carry out conservation efforts for tigers across the entire country. By any stretch of imagination, by any data that you see, the project has to be called a success because it has been able to stop the declining tiger population and make it stable and even increase in some parts of the country. It was initially introduced in 9 tiger reserves. Since then, it has expanded to 55 tiger reserves now. It's a tiger conservation scheme launched by the Government of India and administered by the National Tiger Conservation Authority. It is being run in multiple national parks, sanctuaries, etc. that have taken part in this project. The funding for this project significantly comes from the central government. So it's again 60-40. In usual cases, central government gives 60, states contribute 40. But for northeastern states and Himalayan states, central government gives 90, while the states are expected to give only 10% of it. Just last year, the Ministry of Environment announced merger of Project Tiger with Project Elephant into a new division called Project Tiger and Elephant. So do remember, 2 separate projects for Tiger and Elephant have now been clubbed together into one single project called Project Tiger and Elephant. Here are a few other details about this Project Tiger that you must know. These are the activities undertaken under the Project Tiger. For example, many new tiger reserves were established across the entire country, like the new reserves in Dholpur in 2023. There are core buffer management strategies. Buffer zones were created so that there is a gap between human habitat and the core areas where the tiger population resides. Technological innovations were carried out, such as M-Strips app. As you know, the M-Strips app is for assessment of tiger, their monitoring and conservation efficiency. There are also aerial surveillance conducted so that we can keep an eye on the tiger population, whether the tigers are under any danger and whether some action has to be taken. Also, a special tiger protection force has been created. It specializes in anti-poaching units. So if there are people who are hunting tigers, this is the force that has been given the responsibility to stop them in their efforts. Also recently, that is in 2022, the 5th cycle of the tiger census was conducted. As per the results, India had 3,167 tigers. That number has increased by 200 in the last 4 years, which again highlights the success of this Project Tiger. About 1161, that is 1161 tigers are in central India, that is the highest. 824 in Western Ghats, 804 in Shivalik Range, so on and so forth. You don't have to remember exact numbers, just remember the trend. Where is it that they are found in most quantity? Also, the Western Ghats, which are home to the largest tiger population in the world, have shown a fall in the occupancy of tigers. States such as Jharkhand, Odisha, Chhattisgarh also are seeing a reduction in the population of tigers, while some other states are seeing increase in the tiger population. From tigers, let's jump on to leopards. The Government of India released a report on status of leopards in India. This is the 5th cycle of leopard population estimation. As you know, the Government of India has recently launched the International Big Cat Alliance. As part of that Big Cat Alliance, the Government of India is giving these signals to the world that see, we are very serious about the population of different species of big cats in India. That is why you will see these surveys being conducted on a very, very regular basis now. The Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change released the report. The report had 2022 numbers. The report covered about 20 states and 70% of their expected habitat across the entire country. Let's see the key highlights of the report. First, leopard population shows a growth of 1.08 annual as compared to 2018. Again, you don't have to remember the numbers. Just remember the population is increasing year on year. Central India, Eastern Ghats saw the largest growth. Shivalik and the Gangetic Plains saw a decline in the leopard population. Amongst the states, it is Madhya Pradesh that has the largest population of leopards, followed by Maharashtra, Karnataka and Tamil Nadu. The tiger reserves that have the highest leopard population include the Nagarjun Sagar, Srisailam in Andhra Pradesh and Telangana, Panna and Satpura in Madhya Pradesh. These are the tiger reserves that have the largest leopard population. As I told you earlier, the government of India has been making multiple attempts at increasing the population of these big cats in India and ensuring collaboration with other countries as well. For example, launching the International Big Cat Alliance, also ensuring that the World Wildlife Fund for Nature, that is WWF's India arm, also allocates significant funds to leopard protection and preservation. We also have something called the Secure Himalaya project that is focusing mainly on the leopards that are found in the high altitudes of the Himalayas. It is for conservation of high altitude Himalayan ecosystem. Next news, 186. It's an important news for the examination. The news is that the government of India recently changed certain rules of wildlife protection licensing. Now, what exactly is this? If you look at the Wildlife Protection Act of 1972, it earlier used to have 6 schedules. All these schedules contain different species, about how much protection should be given to them, which are the species that may be hunted or may not be hunted. The government of India recently changed 6 schedules to 4 schedules. So earlier the Wildlife Protection Act had 6 schedules, now it has 4 schedules. In those 4 schedules also, there is a change that has happened. What is the change? Let's try and understand. The change mainly is in Schedule 1 and Schedule 2. The change is about licensing. Let me try and explain this to you. Schedule 1 basically contains the name of those animal species that have been given the highest level of protection. So if you kill any of them, if you imprison any of these that are present in the first schedule, you will be given the highest punishment. Now, the rules that existed since 1983 said that no license will be given to trade in the wild animals that are written in Schedule 1 and Schedule 2. So basically, those animal species whose names are in Schedule 1 and Schedule 2 earlier, no license for their trade can be given. You could not trade it except, if you wanted the license, except with previous consultation of the central government. So earlier, if you had to get a trading license for any Schedule 1 or Schedule 2 animal, you had to take permission from the central government. Now it has changed. What has changed now? Now the rules say that for Schedule 1 only, you require central government's previous consultation. In other words, now trading licenses can be given for Schedule 2 without the central government's permission. That is a big change. So earlier, Schedule 1, Schedule 2, both the animals, if you needed trading license, you had to take central government permission. Now only for Schedule 1, you have to take central government permission for their trading. But for Schedule number 2, that requirement has been taken away. So licenses for trading in Schedule 2 can be granted now without any consultation or approval of the central government, which was earlier required. So this is important. This rule has been changed in 2024. Now, the new rules also specify that the authorized officers must consider while giving the license some other things like the capacity of the applicant, source and the manner, how are they sourcing their animals, where are they actually selling them, number of existing licenses in the area that already have been given, and would it increase hunting or not. But all in all, more free hand has been given to officers at the local level. Now, it might mean a couple of things. Number one, it might mean increase in corruption because you are giving a lot of power to the officers to decide now rather than going to a central government. Some people say it might also lead to increase hunting because now you do not need permission from the central government for Schedule 2 animals, so that may give a push to hunting as well. As I told you earlier, the Wildlife Protection Act itself was changed just a few years back. The earlier act had 6 schedules, the original version. Now it has been converted to 4 schedules, and these are the 4 schedules. Schedule 1 contains animal species that have been given the highest level of protection. Schedule 2 some lesser amount of protection. Schedule 3 is for protected plant species, and Schedule 4 is for those specimens that are named under CITES, it is Convention on International Trade in Endangered Species of Wild Fauna and Flora. This is mainly to come in line with the International CITES Convention. Next, the Government of India also released a report on snow leopards. So there was a report on leopards in India, and there was also a report on snow leopards in India. This report is called SPAI, Snow Leopard Population Assessment in India Program. This report talks to us about the leopard population or the snow leopard population in Trans-Himalayan region, Ladakh, Jammu Kashmir, Himachal Pradesh, Uttarakhand, Sikkim, Arunachal Pradesh, where they are mainly found. The assessment was conducted from 2019 to 2023 to see how the snow leopard population has been impacted in the country. This survey has been conducted by an NGO called Nature Conservation Foundation along with World Wildlife Fund India arm. Let's see what are the major findings of this report. The report says that the largest number of snow leopards in India are in Ladakh, 477, followed by Uttarakhand, then Himachal Pradesh, Arunachal Pradesh, Sikkim, and then in Jammu and Kashmir. Again, you don't have to remember the exact numbers, just remember the trend, where are they found in the largest numbers, then second, third, fourth, that would be good enough. The report also says that there's a need to establish a dedicated snow leopard cell at the Wildlife Institute of India under the Ministry of Environment, because the total snow leopard population in the entire country is not even 1,000. It also suggests that there should be long-term strategies created to help snow leopards survive for a longer time and also preserve them, protect them from the threats of hunting and other kind of issues. The report also talks about what are the different types of initiatives that have already been taken in India for preservation of snow leopard population. For example, India has identified 3 landscapes under GSLEP for restoration of snow leopards in the country. First landscape is a Hemis Spiti region, that is in Ladakh and Himachal Pradesh. Second is a Nanda Devi Gangotri region in Uttarakhand. And third is a Kanchenjunga Tawang region in Sikkim and Arunachal Pradesh. India also runs a project Snow Leopard to conserve our unique place in the world, a country that has a lot of these big cats, including the snow leopard. Since 2014, 23rd of October is being observed as the International Snow Leopard Day across the entire world. Apart from that, India also has been running a very successful breeding program for snow leopard. This breeding program goes on at the Himalayan Zoological Park in Darjeeling. This is considered as a very successful model, not just in India, but in the entire Southeast Asia region. Next news 188. There was COP number 14 of conservation of migratory species of wild animals. This term COP, you keep on hearing about this multiple times. Please don't be confused. COP is just a name given to a meeting. COP is Conference of Parties. So different programs have their meetings annually, and whatever is the number of the meeting that has been given in the name of COP. So UNFCCC might have other COP. So there are COPs for different purposes, for different protocols, for different treaties, etc. So this particular COP number 14 is for CMS, that is Conservation of Migratory Species. It was held recently, wherein the countries agreed to adopt 14 new migratory species and work towards their conservation and their preservation as well. Which means that the countries participating agreed that they will make better and stricter policies and laws for conservation of these 14 species, including the Pallas cat, Eurasian lynx, bearded vulture, black-chinned guitarfish, bull ray, etc. The proposal says that it is important for the nations to work together in order to preserve these species. Now, from the prelims exam point of view, what do you have to remember from this? What you have to remember is the name of these 14. You might not be able to remember all these 14, but if possible, try and read this 3-4 times. Which are these new migratory species that have been now listed in this conservation for migratory species? This convention also talked about the need for international collaboration in countries such as Northern Macedonia, Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, etc. These are the countries where a lot of migratory species are found. In India as well, as you know, a lot of birds fly into India, especially from the Siberian region. When the winters get too harsh and the species cannot survive there, they fly into India, and thus India is also part of the CMS. This convention also recognizes some endangered species. For example, Lahill's bottlenose dolphins, the Peruvian pelican, all of these are recognized as vulnerable, endangered or critically endangered in the IUCN. What exactly is CMS? What do you have to remember about this? Remember, it is an intergovernmental treaty signed under UNEP, that is United Nations Environment Programme. It is also known as a Bonn Convention. Now do tell me in the comment section, this is your homework, where exactly is Bonn? It has a historical significance. Where exactly is Bonn? In which country? Don't do a Google search. Let's see if you know this already or not. This treaty came into being in 1983. India has been a part of this since 1983 itself. The idea is simple: to preserve migratory species. So if some species of birds or animals come to your country when the weather pattern changes, it's your responsibility to protect them, preserve them, etc. to make sure that they are protected, and you should have punishments in place for hunters in your country. For example, there have been multiple instances where migratory birds coming into India have been hunted down in large numbers in many parts of Northeast, including Nagaland, etc. And the government has been making efforts to stop such practices. The CMS has two appendices. First appendix is of threatened migratory species, and second appendix is of migratory species that require international cooperation. India has been working hand in hand with other countries. India has signed a non-legally binding memorandum of understanding as well for species such as Siberian cranes, marine turtles, the dugongs and the raptors as well. India, as I said, is home to a lot of migratory species, including the Amur falcons, the black-necked cranes, marine turtles, etc. Number 189, there was an issue about the definition of forest. Multiple state governments have been demanding changing the definition of forest to allow them to cut down and clear forest areas. This matter had gone to Supreme Court. The Supreme Court basically has again asked the state governments and central government to go back to an old definition of forest. The idea is simple. Basically, the states and the central government, they have restrictions on which forest land they can clear, or which land can they clear for construction, mining, which land can they give away to corporates for manufacturing activities, etc. Once a land is considered a deemed forest, it's not easy to then transfer it for non-forest purposes. This is why the definition of forest comes into the picture. This is where you have to define what is a forest and what is not a forest. So basically the Supreme Court has said that right now the definition of forest should be considered as the one given in 1996 in the famous Supreme Court case called the T.N. Godavarman Tirumalpat case. There have been many instances of the definition of forest changing from time to time. For example, these are different laws and Supreme Court judgments that have given different definitions of the forest. The Supreme Court is referring to this one. The Supreme Court says right now this definition of forest should be considered. Means forest should include areas that are called as forests in any government record. That includes forest tag name given by expert committees in any order till 1996. So any government law, any government policy, if it considers or recognizes a certain land as a forest land, it should be considered as forest only. In 2023, the Government of India amended the Forest Conservation Act and said that before 1996, whatever forest land was converted for non-forest purposes will not be called as forest and we should be allowed to cut it down. This is the major point of contention here. Which land will be called as a forest and which land will not be called as a forest. This is where the Supreme Court now has given a judgment that every state should make their own consolidated list of which area in their state is a forest area and which is not a forest area. Till the time that every state and union territory comes up with their own individual list, till that time the definition of forest will be the same as they gave in 1996 judgment. They are saying that any government record that marks any land as forest, including forest-like area, unclassified area, community forest area, should be called as a forest. Till then, till what time? Till the time that the state governments prepare their own list and submit it to the court that these are the forest lands in our individual states. Till that time, the definition of the forest given in 1996 case would hold true as per the Supreme Court. Last news of this particular class is about Indian gharial. After 75 years, the Indian gharial species was spotted in the Greater Kaziranga, which is why it has again come in the news. This is a table to help you revise about it. The Indian gharials are mainly found in river ecosystem, deep, clear, fast-flowing rivers. Although the females lay eggs in sandy river banks. Some of the features of the Indian gharial include this. They have a very long nasal knob, so they have a very long nose. That is how you mainly distinguish between the gharials and the crocodiles. Unlike other crocodiles, gharials mainly feed on fish and not warm-blooded species. They are incapable of consuming large mammals, including humans, so they can't eat humans because again, that is how their mouth structure is. They are mainly found in the Ganga river and its tributaries such as Chambal, Girva rivers, etc. They are also found in Nepal. As per IUCN, they are categorized as critically endangered and they are placed in Schedule Number 1 of Wildlife Protection Act and Appendix 1 of CITES. The Government of India has been running a crocodile conservation project since 1975 and gharial are included in that, so do remember. There are breeding centers for gharial, including the Kukrail Gharial Rehabilitation Center in Lucknow. This brings me to the end of this class, class number 18. In case you have missed out on any other class earlier, please do see the recording. I am pasting the link of the entire playlist in the description of the video. Click on that and you can watch all these classes. In case you want to get the PDF of these lectures, all that you need to do is click on the link of the Telegram channel in the description of the video and you'll be able to download that. Thank you so much for watching. Do hit the subscribe and the like button. I'll see you soon. Bye bye. Jai Hind.